Hey you. Yes, you. The one who just took a shower, used soap, probably wiped down your sink, maybe even used a scented candle. You're clean, right? Well, buckle in, because tonight we're going to calmly walk through a world that didn't know what a toothbrush was and thought bathing more than twice a year might summon demons. Welcome to the long, weird history of hygiene. Before we dive elbow deep into chamber pots and communal bathwater, hit that like button if you enjoy this kind of slightly disgusting, historically accurate sleep content. Comment below. Would you have survived the 1300s without deodorant? Spoiler, probably not. Now dim the lights. Wrap yourself in your clean blanket. Let the rain settle in the background. And let's take a sleepy stroll through the filth. Chapter 1. Waking up in a medieval village. You wake up, not to an alarm clock, but to the rooster's judgmental scream. The straw mattress under you smells vaguely of mildew, goat, and regret. You stretch and immediately hit your head on a wooden ceiling beam. Welcome to your one-room cottage. You share it with your spouse, 3 kids, an angry cat, and probably a chicken or two. And no, there is no bathroom. You relieve yourself in a wooden bucket, which you share, which hasn't been emptied in 2 days. Modern problem. The toilet paper roll is facing the wrong way. Medieval problem. There is no toilet paper. Chapter 2. Morning routine, if you can call it that. Brushing your teeth? Let's see. You take a twig, chew the end until it's frayed. Or maybe you rub crushed mint or charcoal across your teeth. If you're rich, maybe you have a powder made of burnt bones. If you're poor, it's whatever's lying around that smells less bad than your mouth. Mouthwash? Wine? Yes, seriously. Or vinegar, which burns, but hey, sterilization, sort of. Your breath still smells like bread, onions, and existential despair. But everyone else's does too, so it's fine. Chapter 3. To bathe or not to bathe? Usually not. Bathing was controversial. Some thought it opened your pores to demons. Others thought it made you weak. Still others, especially monks, thought smelling bad was a form of holy suffering. But public bathhouses? Oh, those existed. They were steamy, gossip-filled, sometimes naked social hour experiences. Until the plague hit. Then everyone decided bathhouses were portals to hell. If you did bathe at home, it meant heating water over a fire, carrying it bucket by bucket, and pouring it into a barrel. It took hours. So, most people didn't. Congratulations, you smell like humanity. Chapter 4. Coping with the stench. Perfume wasn't a luxury. It was survival. You pinned scented sachets to your clothes. You sniffed oranges stuffed with cloves. You carried posies everywhere. Not to be fancy, but to avoid vomiting on the street. Also, nosegays were real. People literally carried small bouquets to sniff when walking past open sewers. Fun fact, the expression stinking rich? Rich people also smelled. They just did it wearing silk. Chamber pots. Garderobes, aka medieval toilets hanging over castle walls. Long drops, buckets, holes, communal outhouses. In many cities, there were no sewage systems. People emptied chamber pots by throwing their contents into the street. They'd shout, "Garde below," which loosely translates to, "Look out below." Imagine, you're walking home from market. Boom! Surprise poop from a second-story window. Now you understand why cloaks and wide-brimmed hats were so popular. Chapter 6. Laundry, or why everything smelled like wet sheep. Doing laundry meant soaking clothes in lye, which burns, or stale urine, which is exactly what it sounds like. You beat your clothes on rocks, hung them in smoke to keep moths away, and called them clean if they didn't stand up on their own. Also, fun twist. Your best clothes were often your dirtiest because you saved them. So your Sunday best? Yeah, probably had mildew. Chapter 7. And then there were the plagues. Nothing makes a person want to clean more than the Black Death. Unfortunately, they had no idea how. They blamed bad air, bad smells, witches, comets, foreigners. So they burned herbs, beat themselves in public, or ran naked through the streets. Spoiler, it didn't work. What could have worked? Washing hands. But that idea wouldn't really catch on for another 500 years. Chapter 9. When doctors thought your pimples were a curse. Okay, so you survived medieval laundry. You avoided flying chamber pots. You're reasonably clean by local standards. But then, a boil appears on your skin. One angry red lump. Hot to the touch. Gross to look at. Obviously, it's acne, right? Nope. In medieval times, it might mean you're being punished by God. Doctors, if you can call them that, didn't think in terms of bacteria. They thought in terms of humors. Your body was full of invisible fluids, blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile, and if you had a weird lump, well, something was clearly unbalanced. Solution? Maybe a leech. Maybe a prayer. Maybe a hot iron pressed to your flesh to draw out the corruption. You scream. They nod. It's working. Chapter 10. The Spa Day from Hell, aka cupping, scarifying, and other mistakes. Let's say you're feeling weak. Your skin is pale. You're dizzy and sluggish. In today's world, water, electrolytes, maybe a nap. In medieval times, ah yes, says the town barber surgeon. Too much blood. Let's fix that. You're placed on a bench. Someone ties a strip of cloth around your arm, and then they open your vein. You watch your own blood pool into a bowl. The room spins. You want to scream, but they hand you a lemon wedge and say, "Try smelling this." Wellness. Sometimes they add cupping little glass bowls heated over flame, then stuck to your back. They suck the skin into angry, bruised bubbles. It hurts. You hate it. But if it leaves marks, that means it's working, apparently. Chapter 11. You die, and then things get weird. Let's say you don't survive. The pimple got infected. Or the doctor accidentally bled you too much. Or you tripped over a pig in the street and hit your head. It happens. You're laid out in your finest clothes. You look surprisingly well, because they've stuffed herbs into your mouth to hide the smell. They don't embalm you. Too expensive, too suspicious. Instead, they bury you fast. Sometimes with a stone in your mouth, just in case you decide to come back and, eat your relatives. Yes, welcome to medieval anti-vampire precautions. People believed illness spread from the dead, so if your grave looked too disturbed, they'd dig you up and take a few preventative measures. That's not thunder you're hearing, just another storm rolling in. Chapter 12. How Women Navigated Medieval Periods. All right, you've survived the public bath, the bloodletting, the plague breath, and the street poop situation. But if you were a woman in medieval Europe, oh no, your body's just getting started. Let's talk about periods. And no, not the kind that end sentences. The kind that arrive monthly, like an unwelcome visitor, without any warning. Or pads, or midol, or sympathy. So, you wake up. Your dress is, a little damp. There's cramping, of course. You try not to groan too loudly, because if you're too vocal about pain, someone might accuse you of witchcraft. Seriously, menstrual cramps could be seen as a sign of sin, because apparently, suffering in silence was considered virtuous. The tools of the trade, not great. No tampons, no pads, no heating pads, no hot showers. So what did women use? Cloth, if you were lucky. A scrap of linen, folded and tucked in place with a kind of belt or tie. If you were poor, moss, dried grass, wool, animal fur. Yes, really. Reusable, of course. Because they didn't exactly have a 24-hour CVS. There were no laundry machines either. So your reusable pad had to be rinsed in a stream or scrubbed by hand. And yes, that moss chafed. Secrecy, shame, and superstition. Let's be clear, periods weren't talked about. Not publicly, not positively. In fact, in many places, menstruating women were considered unclean. In some communities, they weren't allowed to enter churches, or bake bread, or touch animals. One medieval text actually warned that if a menstruating woman looked at a mirror, it would turn cloudy, or that her gaze could wilt crops. That's right, your uterus was apparently a biological WMD. So women kept it quiet, hidden, silent, no complaining, no discussing, no comfort, just grit, pain, and the hope that moss wouldn't fall out while walking over cobblestones. Chapter 13. The Monk Who Wrote a Poop Manual. Narrator whispering, amused. You've made it this far. Through leeches, tooth twigs, menstrual moss, and vinegar mouthwash. You're a seasoned traveler now, through medieval discomfort. So let's talk about the one topic that unites all humans. Rich, poor, noble, peasant. Poop. Enter the 9th century. A monastery, somewhere damp. The air smells faintly of ink, beeswax, and something less poetic. And in the quiet, candlelit scribal corner, a monk sits hunched over parchment, quill in hand, serious expression, writing about bowel movements. Yes, dear listener, there is an actual medieval text called the Regimen Sanitatis Salernitanum, a sort of health and wellness poem. And it includes guidance on when and how one should poop. The advice? Don't hold it in. Go regularly. Avoid sitting too long. Honestly, pretty solid. Even today. But that's not the weird part. Because some monks got very into it. The poop process, monastic edition. In many monasteries, there were strict routines. Prayer, silence, fasting, study, and also designated poop time. Communal latrines, sometimes beautifully built with running water, but no doors. Because humility meant letting go of privacy too. Imagine it. A long wooden bench, 10 holes carved in a row, monks sitting side by side, no one speaking, just eye contact and quiet guilt. Welcome to the holiest of bathroom breaks. Some monasteries even kept logs, pun fully intended, of who went, when, and how long they took. Why? Because regular digestion was seen as a sign of spiritual order. If your bowels were chaotic, your soul probably was too. Diagnosis. What's in the bowl? One monk named Aegidius Corbeliensis, yes, that's a real name, described poop diagnosis as a legitimate medical practice. Color, consistency, smell, frequency. They believed your excrement could reveal not only disease, but your moral state. Forget astrology. These guys were reading your destiny. In the toilet, brown, good. Yellow, liver issue. Black, internal bleeding. Green, demonic interference. Yes, green poop meant the devil was visiting your colon. That's one hell of a diagnosis. Chapter 14. Fashion or Fungus. A medieval guide to skin disease chick. You've survived the monk's poop log. You've bled, bathed, and bartered with your last clean tunic. Now it's time to get dressed. But wait, is that lace? Or is your skin just peeling again? Welcome to the dazzling, oozing world of medieval dermatology. Spoiler, It's not good. Back then, fashion wasn't just about flair. It was also about hiding things, like warts, scabs, weeping boils, and that suspicious black patch that definitely wasn't there last week. So people layered up. Wool, leather, more wool, cloaks big enough to smuggle shame under. Not just for warmth, but to cover what they couldn't explain. You walk into the village square, a noblewoman in silk gloves, a merchant in tall boots, and a hat shaped like a soft cone. Everyone's dressed, but no one's well. There's a chance that hat isn't a fashion choice. It's just covering head lice. And that scarf? Maybe it's not for modesty. Maybe it's because the entire neck is covered in St. Anthony's fire. A skin disease caused by moldy bread. No, seriously. Eat too much rye infected with ergot? Boom. Burning skin, purple limbs, hallucinations, and possibly death. Or at least really unfortunate vibes at a dinner party. Doctors had theories, of course. If your skin was breaking out, it meant your blood was too hot. Or maybe you had impure thoughts. Or maybe God just didn't like your pores. Their solutions? Apply a poultice made from pigeon dung and rose oil. Rub onions on it, burn it off and pray it doesn't grow back. And if all else fails, cover it up and tell everyone it's part of your look. Snake oil, but make it literal. People would try anything. Ground emeralds, snake fat, frog guts dried in the sun and powdered with thyme. They believed gemstones could cool the skin, that silver would prevent plague, that animal fat could calm itching. None of it worked. But hey, now you glisten in the sun like a moist, medieval disco ball. So now, dear listener, you lie in bed, in your own century. No skin rash, no wool cloak that smells like goat and regret, no mystery spots that hum at night. You are clean. You are fungus-free. You have moisturizer with a pump, and no one just rubbed you with a dead toad for fun. History wasn't glamorous, but it was honest, and every scab told a story. So close your eyes, let the storm outside lull you, and sleep well, you beautiful, non-infected wonder.